a crucial topic, one that I know affects a whole lot of people out there. Narcissistic personality disorder. Now, this isn't just about someone who likes to look in the mirror a bit too much. We're talking about a serious pattern of behavior that can turn your life upside down. We'll uncover the red flags, the things you absolutely need to be looking out for, and more importantly, I'm going to give you some practical, common-sense tips on how to deal with it, how to protect yourself, and how to get your power back. Because let me tell you, knowledge is power, especially when you're dealing with this kind of personality. Now, some of you might be thinking, is this really that big a deal? And I'm here to tell you, plain and simple, yes, it is. Living with or working with a narcissist can be emotionally draining, psychologically damaging, and just plain exhausting. They can suck the life right out of you if you let them. It's like being on a constant emotional roller coaster and you didn't even buy a ticket for that ride. Understanding the dynamics at play isn't just interesting. It's essential for your well-being, for your peace of mind, and for your future healthy relationships. We're not here to diagnose anyone from afar. Let's be clear about that. But we are here to educate and empower you. So what we're going to do today is break this down. We're going to look at 5 big, glaring red flags that scream narcissist. From that over-the-top sense of self-importance to their downright exploitative behavior. My goal here isn't to just throw a bunch of psychological jargon at you. No, we're going to talk plain English, use real-world examples, and give you strategies that you can actually use. Because at the end of the day, you deserve to be treated with respect, and you deserve to have healthy, balanced relationships. So, lean in, pay attention, because what we're about to discuss could change the way you see a lot of things. Alright, let's kick things off with one of the most glaring, in-your-face signs of a narcissist, a grandiose sense of self-importance. Now, what in the world does that mean in plain talk? It means these individuals believe they are superior, special, or unique, and they expect everyone around them to just recognize this supposed brilliance without them actually having to do much to earn it. They'll exaggerate their achievements, their talents, their experiences, sometimes to a point that's just frankly unbelievable. You'll hear stories that get bigger and better with each telling. They see themselves as VIPs in the movie of life, and everyone else? Well, you're just an extra, maybe a supporting character if you're lucky and you're playing your part by admiring them. This isn't confidence, folks. This is a distortion of reality, a fantasy world they've built, where they are the undisputed king or queen. You'll see this play out in all sorts of ways. They might dominate conversations, constantly steering the topic back to themselves, their accomplishments, or their problems, which by the way are always more significant than anyone else's. They might name drop, embellish their connections to important people, or take credit for work they barely touched. If you've got good news, they'll often find a way to one-up you or diminish your achievement to make theirs seem more significant. It's like they have an internal scoreboard, and they have to be winning at all times, even if it means bending the truth till it snaps. And if you dare question their inflated self-view, oh, get ready for defensiveness, anger, or even contempt. They can't handle anything that punctures that grandiose bubble. The impact of this on people around them is just draining. You start to feel invisible, like your thoughts, feelings, and achievements don't matter. You might find yourself constantly walking on eggshells, careful not to say anything that could be perceived as a challenge to their superiority. This isn't just someone with high self-esteem. Healthy self-esteem is based on actual accomplishments and a realistic self-appraisal. Grandiosity, on the other hand, is a house of cards built on a shaky foundation of insecurity, believe it or not. They need that constant external validation to prop up this inflated self-image because, deep down, they're often quite fragile. Don't get it twisted. This behavior is a hallmark, a big old red flag waving right in your face. Now let's talk about something really fundamental to human connection: empathy. That's the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person, to put yourself in their shoes, so to speak. Well, when you're dealing with a narcissist, you're often staring into an empathy black hole. They have a profound lack of empathy, meaning they are generally unwilling or genuinely unable to recognize or identify with the feelings and needs of others. It's not that they don't understand emotions intellectually. Some are quite good at faking it when it serves their purpose. But they don't it. Your pain, your joy, your struggles, they often just don't register on their emotional radar, or if they do, they're quickly dismissed if they don't directly benefit the narcissist. This lack of empathy has devastating consequences for relationships. Imagine trying to explain you're hurt or upset, and the person you're talking to either looks at you blankly, changes the subject, or worse, gets angry at for having those feelings. They might minimize your experiences, telling you you're being too sensitive or dramatic. They can be incredibly insensitive, making hurtful comments without a second thought for the impact. Because they can't truly step into your emotional world, they struggle to provide genuine comfort or support. Any support they do offer is often performative, designed to make them look good, rather than to actually help you feel better. It's a lonely place to be when the person who's supposed to care simply doesn't seem to get it, or worse, doesn't seem to care that they don't get it. In everyday interactions, this manifests as a constant sense of being misunderstood or emotionally invalidated. You might share something vulnerable, hoping for connection, and instead, you get a lecture, a critique, or an immediate pivot back to their own concerns. It's like trying to have a heart-to-heart with a beautifully polished mannequin. Looks the part, but there's nothing going on inside in terms of shared feeling. This isn't just a communication problem, it's a fundamental deficit in their ability to connect on a human level. And let me tell you, constantly having your feelings ignored, dismissed, or trampled on is a recipe for emotional exhaustion and deep, deep hurt. It's a critical red flag, and one that causes immense pain to those caught in their orbit. Alright, next up on our list of red flags is this insatiable, bottomless pit need for excessive admiration. We're not just talking about someone who enjoys a compliment now and then, who doesn't. No, with a narcissist, this is a deep-seated, almost desperate craving for constant validation, praise, and adoration from others. It's like they have an internal applause meter that always needs to be cranked up to the max. Their self-esteem, despite that grandiose exterior we talked about, is actually incredibly fragile, like a delicate glass sculpture. It needs to be constantly reinforced by external sources, by people telling them how great, how smart, how attractive, how, insert superlative here, they are. Without that steady stream of admiration, they can become antsy, irritable, or even depressed. So, how do they go about getting this admiration they so desperately need? Well, they're not shy about it. They'll fish for compliments, sometimes subtly, sometimes as blatantly as a neon sign. They might boast about their achievements, real or imagined, hoping to elicit praise. They often surround themselves with people who are willing to dish out that admiration freely, a fan club if you will, or what some might call flying monkeys. These are folks who will echo their sentiments, laugh at all their jokes, and generally prop up their ego. And what happens if you don't provide that admiration? Or, heaven forbid, if you offer criticism, even constructive criticism? You're likely to be met with narcissistic rage, cold indifference, or devaluation. They can't handle anything that doesn't feed their need to be seen as perfect and superior. Think about the burden this places on the people around them. It's exhausting to feel like you constantly have to be a source of ego fuel. Relationships become less about genuine connection, and more about you playing the role of the adoring audience. You might find yourself carefully choosing your words, always trying to say the right thing to keep them happy and avoid their displeasure. This isn't a partnership, it's a performance where you're expected to applaud on cue. And when that admiration dries up, or when they find a new, more enthusiastic source of supply, they can discard people with shocking ease. This relentless need for praise isn't just a personality quirk, it's a core component of their disorder, and it makes authentic, reciprocal relationships virtually impossible. Let's move on to another big one. A pervasive sense of entitlement. Now, what does this mean in real terms? It means these individuals operate with the unreasonable expectation of especially favorable treatment. They genuinely believe they deserve the best of everything, special privileges, and automatic compliance with their wishes, often without any logical reason or commensurate effort on their part. It's as if they think the world owes them something, that the rules that apply to everyone else simply don't apply to them because, well, they're special. This isn't about earned respect or fair treatment, it's an ingrained belief in their inherent superiority and right to have things their way, regardless of the impact on others. You'll see this entitlement rear its ugly head in countless situations. They might expect to jump queues, demand the best table in a restaurant without a reservation, or feel that they shouldn't have to do mundane chores that lesser people do. They expect others to anticipate their needs and cater to them without being asked. And they can become incredibly impatient or even enraged when these unspoken expectations aren't met. Don't you know who I am? Might not be said out loud, but it's often the underlying attitude. They might feel entitled to other people's time, resources, or even their partners without offering much, if anything, in return. It's a one-way street where they do all the taking, and you're expected to do all the giving. The impact of this on relationships and social interactions is, frankly, infuriating and unfair. It creates an environment of inequality where one person's needs and desires consistently trump everyone else's. This sense of entitlement is often a direct precursor to exploitative behavior, which we'll get to next. Because if you believe you're entitled to whatever you want, you're much more likely to manipulate or use others to get it. It breeds resentment, frustration, and a feeling of being constantly put upon by those who have to deal with their demands. This isn't just someone being a bit demanding, it's a deeply ingrained personality trait that reflects their distorted view of themselves in relation to the rest of the world. It's a huge red flag that screams, "My needs come first, last, and always." Now we come to a particularly damaging trait, and that's their tendency towards interpersonally exploitative behavior. What this means, plain and simple, is that they take advantage of others to achieve their own ends, often with little to no regard for the feelings or well-being of the person they're using. People become tools, objects, or stepping stones to help the narcissist get what they want, whether it's status, money, attention, or some other personal gain. They see relationships in a transactional way. What can you do for me? And once you're no longer useful, or if you stop providing what they need, you can be discarded without a second thought. It's a cold, calculated approach to human interaction. How do they pull this off? Well, narcissists can be master manipulators. They might use charm and flattery, love bombing as it's sometimes called, to draw you in and make you feel special, only to start making demands or taking advantage once you're hooked. They might guilt trip you, play the victim, or use emotional blackmail to get you to comply with their wishes. They can be incredibly skilled at identifying your vulnerabilities and using them against you. They might take credit for your work, borrow money they never intend to repay, or expect you to constantly sacrifice your own needs and desires for theirs. It's a pattern of using and abusing, often leaving a trail of hurt and bewildered people in their wake. The long-term damage of being on the receiving end of this exploitation can be immense. You can end up feeling used, betrayed, and foolish for trusting them. It can erode your self-esteem and your ability to trust others in the future. You might suffer financial losses, emotional distress, or damage to your reputation. Recognizing this pattern is crucial for self-preservation. If you feel like you're constantly giving and they're constantly taking, if you feel like your boundaries are always being pushed or ignored, if you feel like you're being played, chances are you probably are. This isn't about isolated incidents. It's a consistent way they operate, a fundamental part of how they navigate the world and get their needs met at your expense. Alright, so we've covered a lot of ground today and I appreciate you sticking with me. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, and I sincerely hope you did, don't forget to hit that like button, drop a comment down below, maybe share an experience if you feel comfortable because you're not alone in this, and definitely subscribe for more insightful content. Remember, understanding these red flags, really them, is your first line of defense. It can help you navigate relationships with individuals who might have narcissistic personality disorder, or at least strong narcissistic traits, and protect your own peace of mind. Now, knowledge is one thing, but action is another. Recognizing these patterns is crucial, but what do you do with that information? You start by setting firm, clear boundaries. And, I mean, narcissists will test your boundaries, push them, try to wear you down, but you have to hold strong for your own sake. It's okay to say no, it's okay to protect your energy and your emotional well-being. This isn't about changing them, because let's be real, that's a monumental task you're not equipped for and shouldn't have to take on. This is about changing how you react and how much access you allow them to have to your life and your emotions. You have the power to control your own responses and your own choices. And finally, if you're really struggling, if you feel like you're caught in a toxic cycle with someone who exhibits these behaviors, please, don't go it alone. Reach out for support. Talk to a trusted friend, a family member, or consider seeking guidance from a qualified therapist or counselor. There's no shame in asking for help. In fact, it's a sign of strength. Your well-being matters more than anything. So take what you've learned today, use it to empower yourself, and remember that you deserve relationships that are built on respect, empathy, and genuine care. Get real with yourself and take care of yourself.